everyone, you're welcome to my channel. This is Emma Styles. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by, and to my returning subscribers, you guys know that I love you. Today's tutorial is going to be about how I made this cute top with best sleeve. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, let's get right into the video. Please guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to turn on the post notification bell to get notification anytime I post new videos. I'm going to be making use of this flower crepe. I have my scissors, I have my tape rule, I have marker, and I have my brown paper here for the illustration. I will start with drafting the front pattern first, and I'm going to be marking out 2 inches on my brown paper, which will serve as the button allowance. When I'm done marking out the 2 inches, I'll go ahead and use my ruler to draw a straight line down. I don't know why my brown paper does not want to cooperate with me. See it folding itself. It is doing so because I folded it for a long period of time. So guys, please bear with me. This will serve as our button allowance, as you can see. And the next thing I'll be doing now is to rule a straight line across my brown paper that will serve as the starting line. So I'll label this line that I just draw the shoulder line. So now I'll mark out my breast point measurement, which is 10 inches, and also I'll go ahead and mark out my waistline measurement, which is 14 inches. I'll also go ahead and mark out the length of my top, which is 23 inches. Then I will add extra 1 inch for stitching allowance. So guys, now I will draw a straight line across my breast point that I marked out and my waistline measurement that I already marked out. I will also draw a straight line across the length of my top that I marked out. So I will label my breast point measurement here. I will also label my waistline measurement here. For my shoulder measurement, I will come to the shoulder line here and mark out my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 6.5. So now for my neckline, I'll go in by 3 inches and mark it out. So for the depth of my neckline, I'm going to go down by 1.5 inches and mark it out also. So when I'm done marking out my neckline measurements, I'm going to be using my curve to curve it out. Now for my shoulder slope, I will come down by 1 inch from the shoulder points here, as you can see. Then I will draw a straight line from my neckline to the new point that I just marked out, and this will serve as my shoulder slope. The next thing I'm doing now is to mark out my chest line, which is to go up from my breast point by 2 inches, or I'll divide my bust measurement by 4, and whatever it is that I get, I'll add 1.5 inch to it to get my chest line from my shoulder slope. So right now I'll just go ahead and join the new point to my shoulder slope. I will go ahead and rule a straight line from my new point that I marked out, and this will serve as my chest line. So now guys, for my armhole, I'll place my tape rule from my shoulder slope to my chest line. Then I'll divide it by 2, whatever it is that I get. I'll make a point, and from that point I will go in by 0.5 inch and also make a point. So now on my chest line, I will mark out my bust measurement divided by 4. I will also mark out my bust measurement divided by 4 on my breast point line also. So after that, I'll use my ruler to join my chest line together with my breast point, as you can see. Then I'll go ahead to my waistline and measure my waistline divided by 4 and mark it out. Then also the length of my top, I'll mark out my hip measurement divided by 4. So right now I'll be adding 1 inch stitches allowance to my breast point, my waistline, and the length of my top. So when I'm done doing that, I'll use my ruler to connect the new point that I marked out together. So now for my armhole, I'll use my French cuff to connect the points from this place to this place, and also the points here, the 3 points, I'll connect them together to form my armhole. So guys, this is basically all for the drafting of the front piece of this top, and the next thing I'll be doing now is to cut it out before drafting out my back piece. So I will fold in my button allowance like this before cutting it out. So now to draft out the back piece, I'll go ahead and draw a straight line that will serve as my shoulder line, and when I'm done drawing the line, I'll go in by 3 inches as you can see, and for the depth of my neckline, I'll go down by 1.5 inch. So right now I'll use my cuff rule to connect the 2 points together. After that, I'll mark out my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 6.5. Then from the point where I marked out, I'll go down by 1 inch and I'll go ahead and connect it together. The new line will now serve as my shoulder slope. From my shoulder line, I will mark out my breast point measurement, my waistline measurement, and also the length of my top. When I'm done marking them out, I'll use a ruler to make a straight line across the 3 points. From my breast point measurement, I will measure my bust measurement divided by 4. Then I will add my stitching allowance. Then I will also go to my waistline measurement. I will mark out my waist measurement divided by 4 plus my stitching allowance. Then I'll also go to the length of my top and mark out my hip measurement divided by 4 plus stitching allowance. So guys, from my breast point, I'll go up by 2 inches and I'll rule a straight line, and this new line will serve as my new chest line. Guys, ignore the line I rule here. I don't even know what it is for. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and rule a straight line from my shoulder slope to my chest line. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to use my cuff rule to carve out my armhole on the back pattern. So right now guys, I'll just use my ruler to join my bust measurements, my waist measurements, and my hip measurements together. So this is all for the drafting of the back pattern. Right now I'll just go ahead and use my scissors to cut it out. And see guys, I no longer have that sharp edge again. The curve has come out. So now I'll just go ahead and divide my front piece into 2. This is the front piece, and the next thing I'll be doing now is to stitch down the part that I marked out for the button. I'll fold it in by 1/2 inch, then I'll fold it in again and stitch it all the way down. I'll do the same for both parts. So this is what I have after joining, and the next thing I'll be doing now is to stitch the shoulders. I've joined the shoulders together guys, and what I'll be doing right now is to use my pin to pin both sides of my top. Then after that, I'll mark out my body measurement. After that guys, I'll mark out my bust measurement, my waist measurement, and my hips measurement. So when I'm done marking them out, I will connect the points together and head over to my sewing machine to stitch it down. So guys, this is what I have when I'm done stitching, and the next thing I'll be doing now is the collar. For my collar, I will measure around my neckline. I will start from the beginning of my shirt as you can see, and I will measure around the end of my shirt. So right now I'll be using this brown paper to draft out my collar. So the measurement I get when I measure the neckline of my top all the way around, I'll divide it by 2 and add my stitching allowance. Then I'll measure it out on my brown paper. I got 18 when I measured mine, divided by 2, that gives me 9, then plus 1 inch stitching allowance, that is 10. Then I mark out 10 inches on the brown paper. So guys, when I'm done marking out the 10 inches, from the point where I mark out 10 inches, I'll go up by 1/2 inch and also make a point at that place. So guys, from the beginning of this brown paper to the point where I marked out earlier on, which is 10 inches, I will use my tape rule to divide it by 2, and whatever it is that I get that is the midpoint, I'll also go ahead and make a mark at that place. Mine, I got 5 inches, then I make a mark at the place where I have my 5 inches. So right now guys, I'll just make use of my curve rule to connect the 2 points together. As you can see my hand curve in this video, you can use your free hand to curve it, and you can make use of your curve rule. So I just connect the midpoint, as you can see, and the new point that I go up with half an inch from my actual measurement. What I'll be doing now is to mark out 1 inch all the way around the curve area. As you can see, I'm marking out 1 inch already. So guys, I want you to follow how I'll mark out my 1 inch. As my line is curved, I'm following the curve area to mark out the 1 inch. I hope you understand what I just explained. I'm following the curve area to mark out the 1 inch, as you see. So now guys, I'll make use of my curve rule to connect the points together all over again. So after that, I'll use my ruler to join it together like this, as you can see. So here I just want to make a curve effect, and I'll be going in by half of an inch, and after that I'll use my free hand to make the curve effect. It's so simple guys, just watch me as I'll be making the effects. So with this, our collar is ready, and the next thing I'll be doing now is to cut it out from the brown paper. So guys, everything that we've been cutting on this collar this morning, it's on fold. So right now I'll be cutting out the collar on my fabrics, and as you can see, my fabrics is on fold. Before I place the collar on it, I'll just go ahead and use my scissors to cut it out on the fabrics. So guys, if you notice, I left spaces on both the top and the bottom of my collar. That space is for stitching allowance. So guys, I'm going to be making use of the same fabrics for the lining, and that is why I cut out 2 pieces of the collar. I'm using one for collar and the second one for the lining of the collar. So here I've ironed like a stay to my collar to make it a little bit strong. In this video, I make use of a peplum stay. So now I'll go ahead and stitch it all the way around. I'll start from this place that you see my hand touch. I'll leave like half of an inch, then I'll stitch my fabrics all the way around. So when I'm to end it also, I will leave half of an inch for stitching allowance. So right now I've stitched my collar, and this is what it looks like after stitching. So guys, you remember the half of an inch that we left earlier on that we did not sew? So I'll place it on my top, at the beginning of my top like this. As you can see, I want you to pay a very close attention to it. So I'll place it like this, and I'll stitch it all the way around, as you see my hand demonstrate, to the end of the top. So guys, we are going to be stitching the collar to the wrong side of our top. So guys, this is what it looks like when I'm done stitching. So right now I'll just turn it over to the right side, and I'll fold it in like this. I'll push the top in like this, as you can see. Then I'll fold it with half of an inch, and I'll stitch it all the way around. So right now guys, this is what I have when I'm done stitching the collar to my shirt. I have already cut my sleeve behind the camera. For the sleeve, I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut both the short sleeve and the long sleeve. I'll put the link in the description box below. For the peplum that will be attaching to the end of my sleeve, I'll fold my fabrics into 2, as you can see. Then I'll fold it again into 2, and that makes it 4. So I'll mark out my round sleeve measurement divided by 4, and after that I'll go ahead and mark out the length of the peplum. So when I'm done doing that, I'll cut it out. Right now guys, I'll head over to my sewing machine and stitch this peplum to my sleeve that I already cut out. So guys, our top is ready and I honestly love the outcome. So I'll just go ahead and add the button hole and also fix the button to this side. Then also I'll go ahead and stitch the down part of my top and also the sleeve. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe.